Welcome to a Fantasy Fan Sportscast with Easy and Lou Landers. Now enjoy the show, but don't forget our safe word.
And for Andrea, the safe word today is Harper. We're going to use Harper as our safe word. So when you hear Harper at the end, or hey, if we're just struggling, yell out Harper, and we'll call it a sit start day. Welcome to the Legend Sports Network at Lenny Melnick, fantasysports.com. This is Easy on a Sunday morning, where we do sit starts with my co-host, and definitely my favorite Sunday co-host, who now has like 9 co-hosts, so I don't know how I rate anymore. Mr. Lou Landers. How you doing, Lou?
Well, today I wasn't a co-host. I was a guest. So it doesn't.
You were a guest. Oh,
so
wow.
You're still my favorite Sunday co-host too, Easy.
All right, good. All right, well, I appreciate that. And we are up to week 14, so I just told Lou off the air that we had less questions, obviously, because there's a lot less players, because this is the playoffs for most people. So go to the web, go to the chat room, put in your questions, and we'll go from there. And I know we've had this discussion. I struggle with listening to a baseball show on a Sunday morning when I'm trying to keep up with all the football stuff and all that. So I'm sorry, but did we discuss the Heisman Trophy? Did we discuss the Heisman Trophy?
We didn't. I don't really care, though. It's not fantasy relevant right now. But I almost called the San Francisco Giants the New York Giants on the podcast half an hour ago because my mind was already on football. So I feel you.
All right. I know it's not relevant to fantasy, but it is relevant to baseball. And that's why I just kind of brought it up. This is there's a lot of baseball talk out there. I was just curious with the baseball show if you guys brought up the fact that the Heisman Trophy winner is probably more likely to play baseball. That's all.
We didn't, but the fact that his agent is Scott Boras already turns me off.
You're already out. It's Oakland A's, right? I think Oakland A's are who he's already signed or drafted. I don't think he's signed yet. So, well, let's go right to the chat room and we'll get some questions from Andrea. And like I said, I'm glad Andrea is doing well because she's in the chat room with questions. And we'll assume none of them are from Thursday.
That she not only is she in the chat room, but she got her questions in first. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going Patrick Mahomes. One, you've ridden him this far all season long. Got to keep doing it when it comes to a player.
Okay.
Also, Tom Brady, not a lot of success in Miami.
Okay, but is there what about floor? Do they both have the same floor, you think?
I think
if it's a playoff,
has a safer floor because he can run with the football.
Okay, that answered my question. My concern was if it's a playoff game and you need upside, it's definitely Mahomes. If it's a playoff game and you need a floor, I wasn't sure, to be honest. That's why I asked. So you think Mahomes has a better floor than Brady this week?
I think Mahomes has a better floor. I think Mahomes has a better upside. I think Mahomes is the better play in general.
All right, then I'm with you. I probably would play Mahomes too. You don't go this far. You know what? Start your stud. You hear that all the time on all the other shows. I don't like saying it, but it's the truth. Start your best players. Then Cowboys or Cardinals. I'm assuming that's defense.
I'm going to go Cardinals, even though I'm a Cowboys fan. Even though I love their defense, even though I don't think Philly is that great. But the Cardinals defense, not only is it pretty decent, but they have a pretty good matchup versus a terrible offensive line of Detroit. The game is in Arizona, I believe. Matthew Stafford going to be on his back quite a bit today. And if you heard my good pal Mike Strome this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, he was talking about this very thing and how he thinks that Matt Stafford's going to be running for his life today. I share those sentiments with Mr. Strome. So I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals defense. Glad I didn't call them the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Now, this morning, they've been talking rumors of Stafford not playing. Do we know that for sure yet?
You know, I do not know that for sure, but that just would cement the fact that you should
go Cardinals. I mean, I just know they said there was a chance, but then, they said if he wasn't on some streak, that he might definitely not play.
Well, he's expected to play according to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. I trust Ian Rappaport. If he's expected to play according to Rappaport,
okay,
to play, in my opinion.
Because obviously this is a week with a lot of injury issues. The one killing me, and I'm just going to ask this straight out, and that's Odell Beckham at the last minute going out. Just that killed me in both of my leagues. But is that make Shepard a number one or even worth starting? I don't know. I'm in between.
It definitely makes him worth starting. He's definitely not a number one. I don't think he'll ever be a number one.
Okay, that was a quick answer. So does it help? Because I have later in here, what about Evan Ingram? I mean, last year when Odell wasn't in there, that's when Evan Ingram really went off. So I'll ask the first question I got, which someone want to know, Evan Ingram now or Gronk?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against Gronk regardless, just because Ingram's been so bad this year. Obviously, OBJ being out does help Ingram a little bit, but I'd go with Gronk. I think that we know that when he's playing, he's pretty solid. With Evan Ingram, he just disappeared all season long. So I'd stay away from Ingram today if you have a guy like Gronk floating around on your team.
Real Double A just asked Doug Martin or Michael Gallup in a flex. I actually have Martin just written down. I'll just add, I have Martin versus Funches.
Martin is injured. I mean, he is expected to play.
And it's the 4 o'clock game, right?
Yeah, he is injured, and that definitely scares me a little bit. Michael Gallup is also a little banged up, but he is expected to play. And I'm not saying that he is a good player, Michael Gallup. I mean, he's got a good skill set, but he does have a very nice matchup because the Eagles secondary is terrible. He has a chance to exploit them for a long touchdown.
The good thing is they both play at the 4 o'clock or 4:30 bracket.
Doug Martin, on the other hand, not only is he banged up as well, but he doesn't have a good matchup. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been pretty stingy against the run all year long, so I'd probably go with Gallup. But it's not a decision I'd like to have to make. I'm glad you made the playoffs with that option because
is it a PPR? Would that matter? Would a PPR matter?
No.
I mean, a wide receiver gives you a few more points. I would think, but
yeah. But the problem with Gallup is that he's a guy that might make 1 catch for 11 yards, or he's a guy that might make 4 catches for 80 and a touchdown. At least with Doug Martin, if he's playing, he's going to get the touches. What's he going to do with them, though? I'm not so sure. Again, versus a good Steelers defense and or run defense at least. And I kind of like Jalen Richard more if I'm going to take a Raiders running back.
Oh, that's true. If obviously he probably isn't available though. I threw Funches in there. The question I have right now is Funches. I think now is healthy, but Cam may not be. So, would you start Funches over either one of those?
I would start Funches over both of them. He is still the number 1 in Carolina, and he's definitely Cam's favorite red zone target.
All right. So we'll go there. Then I have Baldwin versus Callaway at Cleveland. What?
I'm going to go with Doug Baldwin.
All right. Is Baldwin health? Again, these are all health issues as far as that goes.
Phil Chaplin asked, it's a full point PPR. He needs to Mark Ingram, Josh Adams, Dante Pettis, Chris Carson, Spencer Ware, Curtis Samuel. Well, I really like Mark Ingram this week, although I know Kamara is going to put up a lot of points as well. I do like Mark Ingram in this matchup versus the Bucs. I think he's going to run down their throats. With regards to the other guys, there's nothing that really stands out to me. I don't love Josh Adams' matchup versus the Cowboys.
No, I don't.
I don't love Dante Pettis' matchup either. Chris Carson doesn't have a great matchup, but the way the Seahawks have been running the football, kind of hard to ignore him. I might lean towards Chris Carson and Mark Ingram. Spencer Ware did not look great last week, and now he has a tough matchup versus the Ravens. Curtis Samuel is so hit or miss. I mean, if you have Cam Newton and you want to try and pair him up with Cam, not a terrible idea, but I think Mark Ingram and Chris Carson give you the safest floors.
All right. The next thing I had was also, I mean, it's just these three, Samuel, Hamilton, or Pettis. These are all guys that really didn't have a role until this week with injuries and some of that stuff. What do you think of some of these less playable guys early that are now getting opportunity because of injury?
We're talking Dante Pettis, Curtis Samuel, and who?
Hamilton with Denver.
Hamilton, yeah, I don't trust him at all.
I don't trust any of them because they haven't done anything technically.
I mean, at least Pettis has been great lately. He's had 2 really nice weeks. He's certainly, he's doing well. And Curtis Samuel has made plays. I mean, he's not a PPR monster by any mean, but he has been making plays for this team. Browns are not the greatest against wide receivers. This is a guy that saw 11 targets last week in Curtis Samuel. Even if he's the type of guy that could get a play rushing the football. They use him in a lot of different ways. I'd probably lean towards Curtis Samuel over any of those guys, and probably go Samuels, Pettis, and then I don't even remember the other guy at this point again.
Hamilton with Denver.
So Samuels probably ranks 1, Pettis ranks 2. But you could easily make an argument for Pettis to be 1 and Samuel to be 2. At least from an upside standpoint, Pettis may have the higher ceiling, but I trust Samuel the most.
All right, I don't have Gordon, they said, but I have Eckler and Jackson.
Jackson.
All right, me and you have disagreed on that every week. I'm an Eckler guy. I always go the starter, but I do think Jackson, neither one size-wise, they're about the same. All that, I don't know. Eckler's going to get passes, but I see the Jackson thing, but Eckler is starting. I struggle not starting the starter if that's my choice. So
Eckler can't run between the tackles, does a really bad job of running between the tackles. Justin Jackson does a great job of running between the tackles. Jackson had 4 1,000-yard rushing seasons in college. He is a proven runner, workload guy between the tackles. Bengals, I'm sorry, Easy.
Oh, I know.
And super soft. The Chargers are likely going to have a nice lead at this game at some point. And at that point, to me, they take Eckler completely out of the game plan. Eckler's also pretty banged up. They're going to want him moving forward down the road. If they can get away with giving Jackson 20 carries, they're going to do it.
All right. Lamar Jackson or Mayfield?
Definitely Lamar Jackson because of that juicy matchup versus KC. They're going to have to put up points to keep pace.
Now, all morning they were saying Flacco was going to get some snaps, but I just saw truly where Flacco is definitely out. So Jackson is who you'd go. And Cleveland has the Panthers. So, all right. So Lamar Jackson
has been underwhelming this year. It really has been. So it's not like Mayfield's a bad play here by any means. I mean, the Panthers are 23rd versus quarterbacks this year, but Lamar Jackson has that safe floor because of his ability to run with the football in his hands. And the Chiefs are 28th against the quarterback this year. And again, the Chiefs are going to put up points even against a tough Ravens defense. They're going to have to go to the air. They're going to have to score points in this game if you're the Baltimore Ravens. I like the upside of Lamar Jackson.
Right. And guess Jung, whoever that is, he does the same thing. He needed Eckler big today. I do too. So I need Eckler anyway, but
don't hold your breath.
I'm not holding my breath, but hey, I'm just saying I need him. He's playing my Bengals. That's the, so I got to watch. And while we're on that game or the Bengals and Baltimore, we just talked about both teams, Edwards versus Mixon, which, again, are the Bengals going to be a situation where they just have to run, or will Giovanard be in there a little bit more now they're out of it? Do they just not risk Mixon? And then obviously Edwards didn't do much last week.
Well, Mixon is the one constant right now for the Bengals. He's probably going to get you that safe floor of, 10, 12 points. So I think he's a good play. Gus Edwards is kind of boom or bust in the sense that his bust could end up being somewhere in the range of, 7 or 8 points. He could also put up 25 points in this juicy matchup. If you're a believer in the Ravens putting up points today versus the Chiefs and you like Lamar Jackson, there's no reason not to go with Gus Edwards instead.
All right. More running backs, which again, the running back thing just got so wide open with all these injuries. Spencer Ware or Delvin Cook? I think Delvin Cook has really come on, so I'm saying Delvin Cook, but I didn't really look at
Delvin Cook too easy because he is more of a focal point in the offense for the Vikings. I'm going to say Dalvin Cook because even with Spencer Ware being the starting running back, likely to get touches, again, his matchup is worse than Cook's. And that the Chiefs can do enough without a running back. They don't need a running back. They have Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill. That's all they need.
Right. All right. Out there looking, we do have Andrea, the AA, not the fake one, the real one. We have Cha-Cha. And who did I see up there earlier? Guess Jung and Philip Cap. So pretty good. We just throw us a few more questions because we didn't have a lot this week. So if there's any other questions, Lou, I'm in 3 playoffs start, 2 playoffs starting this week, and then I'm playing week 14 in that auction league where I need to win and I need that guy to lose. Do you have championship games today? I think one of them you told me last week you had a bye.
I have a bye, and I have the rest of my leagues are only 4 teams get into the playoffs. So although I am in the playoffs in all but one of those leagues this week, that means very little to me. I just, no matter what, win or lose, I'm playing in the semifinals next week. So.
Oh man, must be nice. I mean, I could be done with fantasy football today. I don't know. I won't. I'll do something fun. I'll do things. And
that's
I'm a big
DFS is for, man. Andrea says Gabriel, Bruce, Ellington, Baldwin, Maurice Harris, Seth Roberts. She needs 2. I'm going to say go with Baldwin and go with Gabriel.
Yeah, I would agree with that also. She needed 2. Then Mike Williams. What's he saying? Mike Williams, Conley, Richards, or Funches needs 2. I would go Williams, Funches.
Let's see. I like
Funches
and I like Funches and Richard.
Oh, okay, Jalen Richard. Now I see running back. So, all right. Double A, Ben Watson or Jimmy Graham? That's a good question. Jimmy Graham hadn't done much.
Jimmy Graham. I don't trust Ben Watson. The Saints have so many different options, so many different ways to beat you, and I don't even think Watson's their number 1 tight end at this point. I think they have that big, tall, white kid, and right. I think there's Arnold. They have Arnold and Hill, who I think could get more looks than Ben Watson this weekend. Not that I trust Jimmy Graham, but if I had to take one of those 2, probably Graham.
Yeah. Now, what are you thinking about Green Bay today? A lot of people are saying this is the day where Coach Rodgers just kind of goes off.
I love Green Bay today. In my DFS lineups, I have 5 lineups for the main slate today. 3 of them have Aaron Rodgers. Now, to be fair, it's really only 2 of them because I'm duplicating one lineup that has Rodgers, but I'm using Rodgers 3 of the 5 times. So I really like the Aaron Rodgers matchup. Firstly, the Falcons stink defensively. And secondly, I think Rodgers is going to come out with something to prove here today. I wouldn't be surprised to see 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. Right.
And the other question I had with running back, Sony Michel or Lamar Miller. Both have been really doing good the last few weeks.
That's a good one because you're right. Michelle obviously has that nice, behind New England, everyone accounts for Tom Brady and Edelman and Gronk, etc. So you can always get the ability for him to, score multiple touchdowns. Lamar Miller, though, has been an absolute machine lately. He has seen an uptick in carries. The entire team for the Texans, their rushing attack has been very good lately. And the Colts running defense isn't that good. So I'd probably go with Lamar Miller, but I don't think there's a huge drop-off.
Well, like I said, in New England, you have so many other options. I think at least Lamar, I think that's back to a floor ceiling thing. I'm pretty sure Miller's at least going to see the ball quite a bit. But, and again, you never can trust the Patriots. So another quarterback question, which is Mahomes and Rivers. I think that's pretty close. But again, if you have both of those, I'm assuming you've had Mahomes, in your lineup the whole season, and Rivers been sitting on your bench, but.
I know what? I probably will lean Rivers this week over Mahomes. I know I said I take Mahomes over Brady, but I think it's a different story. I mean, what Rivers has been able to do this year has been, nothing short of spectacular.
But do you run the risk, the same thing of the Chargers going way up on the Bengals and then just handing the ball off?
I know, but if they go up big, it's probably going to be a lot to do with Phillip Rivers throwing the ball.
Okay.
At least to start, his matchup is way too juicy for me not to go with Phillip Rivers. I think if Mahomes was facing anyone but the Bears or the Ravens, I'd probably go Mahomes, but he is facing the Ravens. So based on the matchup, I still think Mahomes is going to be money, still going to give you, 20 to 25 points minimum. But Rivers has that potential to put up like 30, 35 points.
Now, Andrea's giving you shit. She's saying that's a bunch of BS taking Mahomes over Brady, but not Rivers.
It's not. Someone who admits they know nothing about football. Maybe she should take some more pain meds and go to sleep. Not fire than Andrea.
I didn't say it. The last person you want to fire up is Andrea, but that's okay.
Andrea, simply put, Tom Brady hasn't been that good this year. He has not been good against the Miami Dolphins. He's on the road where he's not as good. So to me, that's why I went with Mahomes over Brady, whereas Phillip Rivers has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. Very consistent, juicy matchup versus the Bengals. It's really hard not to go with Rivers, despite Mahomes probably being the reason why many of the people who own him got to the playoffs.
Right. I got a couple of defensive questions, and that's just the Bears. Do you start the Bears this week?
I know it depends on what else you have. What else do you have?
Because that's the point. I know. I was going to come up with a few, but I had like 3 different people that want to know if they should sit the Bears this week. Just because of the matchup that they have. Against the Rams, and unfortunately it's a late night game. So I guess that's just the question. What do you think about that game? Are the Bears able to stop that offense?
I actually predicted on the 1st and goal yesterday the Bears are going to win the football game, but not necessarily with their defense. I think their defense is going to keep the Rams relatively, to 25 to 40 points. I think the Bears offense is going to be the difference. But I don't love the Bears defense in this matchup, although being at home, cold weather, certainly does give them an opportunity to put up points for you. What you're looking for in a defense is turnovers, sacks, and potential for touchdowns. The Bears are still going to offer that. But I mean, if you have other defenses out there to pick up, I mean, the weeks to start looking at this would have been week 11, week 12, when you start looking, hey, these are my matchups first week in the playoffs.
I started the Titans over the Bears this week.
Yeah, like I was looking at the Titans and the Bills and the Chargers, those types of defenses, 3-4 weeks ago, specifically for the playoff matchups that they had.
Malpal, Carson, Tate, Samuels, or Coleman. He needs 2 full-point PPR.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Carson, Tate, Samuels. I mean, Golden Tate seems to have success versus the Cowboys whenever he plays them. So I would say that Golden Tate should probably be involved there. And the next one's a tough one because Coleman has been absolutely freaking terrible.
But he is the number one.
But he is number one, and the Packers are not good. Samuels has been really good the past few weeks, and Carson is part of that huge rush defense from the Seattle Seahawks. I think highest upside is Samuels. I think safest floor is Carson, and I think Coleman's kind of right in the middle. But I do like Golden Tate in the matchup versus the Cowboys.
All right. We'll give you that one. I probably agree with you. I don't know. It's just hard not to, So you believe in Samuels?
I believe that he has a high ceiling every week, but I don't like his floor.
I got you. Okay. Even with Funches being healthy now.
Samuels, best floor is Carson, and Coleman's right in between.
All right. So good luck, Malpal. But so the other question, which you'd already kind of the Hamilton at Denver, you kind of nixed earlier, but he's asking about Hamilton or Zay Jones. Which again, if you're in the playoffs and that's your option,
Zay Jones
all day long.
Zay Jones has been good lately. Josh Allen seems to like him. They have a good matchup versus the Jets. Deshaun Hamilton has done nothing this year. Yes, he hasn't had a lot of chances to do anything, but I just think it's going to be a lot of Phillip Lindsay, some Freeman, some Booker, and Cortland Sutton.
All right, and the other thing I just wanted to bring up with you, because we haven't talked, and that's, I know it's not sit start, but I've not talked to anyone yet about what the Derrick Henry in like 5 or 6 leagues I'm in. No one played Derrick Henry. So, I mean, And I've seen leagues where he was cut. I'm just curious what you just thought of the performance. And then obviously, a fantasy day, it was huge.
Well, first off, it looked like the Jags had already given up as a team and as an organization in this game really the whole time. I also think that Thursday night football games, defenses on the road, they always are a little less effective than they typically would be, but they just looked like they didn't want to tackle him. If you want to tackle a big guy like Derrick Henry, you go low.
You have to commit too.
You go for the legs. They
Right.
all tried to tackle him high, and it was just stiff arm after stiff arm after stiff arm.
But his legs are like the size of a lot of wide receivers. I mean, those are pretty big legs.
No, they are. But if you're going to tackle him, go low, or just try and knock him out of bounds. He seemed like he was along the sideline for at least half, if not more than half of that run, and there was guys there. Just push him out of bounds.
Right.
Why do you want to tackle him high and knock him down? Once he broke through that first wave of defenders at the goal line, you knew he had the potential to break a big one because he was starting to go up against guys who he was just bigger than. Once you break through that first line of defense, the tackles, the ends, the linebackers, there's always a chance for it. It was an incredible run, obviously, and if you take that run out, he still had
a big day,
had,
right?
130 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, a great game for him. Don't expect it again. And, I'm not surprised that people didn't have
in home leagues, there's people who are going to start him next week. If they didn't, if those were on his bench and they still made it to the play, through the next round of the playoffs, they'll be in some home leagues where people go, oh, I got to play him now, because they don't look at it. They just think now he's.
It might be a mistake to do that.
Yeah. I still think it was a mistake if he was on your team.
I have him on the bench in 2 leagues, and he's.
So you didn't cut him.
Someone else cut him, and I picked him up.
I got you.
Because if something were to have happened to Dion Lewis, I'd have myself a starting RB. So, I had him around just in case, but I haven't used him, and I still won't.
Well, to me, if anything, he was a handcuff. And it's hard to believe you would handcuff Lewis, but if Lewis would go down, Derrick Henry was going to get a lot of work. So,
and the type of guy you do want to handcuff is a guy like Dion Lewis. Yeah, he's super quick. Yeah, he can make plays. The guy's tiny, though. One weird little hit, and he could be gone for a while. And he did have some injury issues with the Patriots a couple of different times. So that's kind of why I would try and handcuff a guy like that. And certainly if Derrick Henry's on people's waiver wires, he's definitely going to be added after the performance. But I don't trust him. No.
Right. And like I said, I know you said you don't have much riding, and that's why I'm not, we've had this argument. I'm just not a fan of bye weeks and all that. It's a short season.
Well,
I want to be playing
the bye weeks. I only have the one league that has the bye week. For the most part, I have leagues that only have 4 teams getting into the playoffs. So the playoffs,
right? 15. See, I don't like that either. Right? Especially in home league.
I like it because it doesn't. You have to really earn your playoff spot. You can't go 7-7 or 7-6 and get into the playoffs.
All right, maybe we need a roundtable discussion because I'm the opposite of that.
Well, does a 500 team typically get into the playoffs?
My argument is the best teams at the end of the year should be in the playoffs. And if you struggle to begin with and you lost 3 or 4,
is not a good team.
I'm just saying. Yeah, you can say that. I've seen 7-6 teams that I know could have beat whoever won the Super Bowl because their team by the end was stronger. That's my point.
One league that I probably am going to miss the playoffs in. I'll probably end 7-7. I don't deserve to get into the playoffs at 7-7. I just don't.
That's your opinion. I believe that you want to keep as many people involved as possible. So you want as many teams going as possible. You want the excitement of, and again, you want people to keep working and building their teams. And if some,
they had 13 weeks to do that.
Huh?
They had 13 weeks to do that, though.
What? So does the NFL. We've seen teams that barely make it into the playoffs or records. I don't know that we've ever had an under 500, but I know we had a 500 team win the Super Bowl. So, and I know people are saying, oh, it shouldn't be the same as, this is a different game. But at the same time, it is based around football. And in football, a 500 team can win a Super Bowl. So why can't a 500 team win a Super Bowl in your in your fantasy leagues. That's
Yeah,
all. I mean,
it does. Sometimes leagues are uber competitive, and the 3 and the 4 teams happen to be 7-7, 8-6, whatever it might be. And there's a lot of teams like that, but the 2 teams with the higher amount of points do get in.
all right, it's not a sit-start issue; it's a round table issue.
Well,
And
I mean, it's a football issue. It's a
because
football
because it's a baseball issue too. It's baseball too, head to head. So
yeah, Seahawks made the playoffs at 7-9 one year. Yeah, it happens, but it doesn't happen often. Usually, you need 9 wins or more to make the postseason in the NFL. Usually.
Right. But the NFL is also doing it. The NFL is doing the same way I would do it for fantasy. You don't want people tanking. You don't want people to say give up so that the games aren't fair anymore. It's like you already said it, the Jaguars gave up. So you want as many people to have a shot as possible so that you don't have the crappy trades. You don't have people not setting their lineups because, that's my opinion. Now, and you're saying only 4. To me, when only 4 go in, maybe if it's an expert league, in a home league, that's ridiculous. If you go 6, in a home league.
I don't play in home leagues anymore. I was kicked out because I kept beating everybody.
Oh, all right. Then that's no fun for you. Home leagues are the best.
I know, but I kept beating everybody. So they kicked me out. They said, we don't want you to do it because you're on the air and you do it for like a living now and blah, blah, blah. It's not fair.
Well, I mean, I've heard that now, and I'm not even that, I'm far from, like I said, I air quotes. I'm just a fan. But I did let Chris Allen the guy I do the show with on Wednesday night. I let him in my home league. Oh, and on the draft, during draft day, they were just trashing him. Oh, the experts up to draft, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up winning the damn season. I came in 3rd. I mean, so, they're already bitching. Well, you brought in a ringer, so at draft day, they were all talking, talking how they were going to take him down. And now that he won it, they're all complaining that, he knows more than they do. But, my argument is that work harder. It's a game, learn how to play. So
exactly. I'm actually as we speak, I'm actually making my pick in a pick'em pool. I'm in 2nd place right now out of 312 people. You have to pick every game every week. It's getting to crunch time. So, that's what I'm doing.
Well, we did it for baseball. Is there was there any kind of a fantasy football playoff league type thing?
Yeah, there is.
Look into that.
I know NFL Network has that. It's one of those things where it's not a draft as much as it is. What you do is you pick from tiers of players.
Okay. You could make that happen for our chat room.
I could create a probably on NFL.com. I could create a fantasy football playoff pool where you pick players from tiers, and there's certain rules. I believe if you each week you have a player and they maintain their status in the playoffs, their actual points double in the 2nd round, triple in the 3rd round, and quadruple in the Super Bowl. So there's different strategies that you employ. Some people in one league, one year, I did that actually, and I had a feeling New England was going to the Super Bowl. I actually took Tom Brady, even though he had a bye in the first week. I didn't even have points for my quarterback in the first week, but I knew week 2 he was going to get double, and I had a feeling he'd go to the Super Bowl. And I did well because I approached with that type of strategy. So there's a lot of different strategies. We'll definitely do that.
Well, you need to see about setting that up so we can maybe have a chat room playoff league. In the Dennis, is it Timko? Is that how you pronounce his?
Yes, Dennis Timko. Need help with Odell Beckham Jr. out flex spot.
Jeffries,
Blount, Traquan. I'm going to probably go with Josh Adams, although Jeffries, I assume is that Alshon Jeffrey, not Jeffries. One of the Eagles guys, probably. Traquan Smith has been, so inconsistent. LeGarrette Blount, although he has been getting in the end zone, it's hard to trust LeGarrette Blount. I feel like Adams or Jeffries is going to get a lot of targets. Adams is going to get a lot of carries, and although the Cowboys defense is good, there are yards to be had, and you got to figure the Eagles are going to score some points here. I could see a 24-20 type game for the Eagles.
He does say it is Alshon, so
yeah. So I would go with one of the Eagles guys. I really feel like the Lions are going to have a tough time moving the football today against Arizona, and Blount needs the red zone touches to really help his value because he's touchdown dependent.
All right. All right. Anything before we go? Again, I guess a little quick show. We had less questions, and it's a big week for me. So far my strategy of playing the best guy hasn't worked out well because I had Odell Beckham. Now I'm a believer in it. Comes from my poker thing. Once you make the decision and you believed in it, you can't go back on it. And I'm not. But obviously, I had three people go off or not go off on Thursday. Fournette didn't help me any. Davis didn't help me any. Luckily, the Titans did. And now I'm out with Odell Beckham. So it's a pretty big weekend for me because, like I said, I literally could be done with fantasy today. So I'll be watching all the games. And my Bengals and the Pittsburgh two big games in this area don't come on until 4:30, I think. So I'll be watching all the Sunday ticket stuff to keep up with my players. But before we go, any last second inactives that anybody would need to know about? I know you're a little more up on it, or I've kind of been.
I haven't really seen anything last.
Didn't already know.
Yeah, I mean, I heard news that Connor's expected to be out longer than just this week. OBJ news came out last time. I actually saw something came across my screen about 30 minutes ago that the Cowboys were pleading with Jason Witten all season long, since like week 3 or 4, to come out of retirement and play for them. Obviously, it hasn't happened. I don't think it's going to happen at this point, but that could have been very interesting.
Yeah, it would have been fun. I mean, especially now they're a playoff team, I could see where he'd be interested. But now, if you have Benjamin in your lineup, he's now inactive. Just letting you know.
Yes, he got cut by the Buffalo Bills, which isn't all that surprising because he's pretty much washed out there. So that's cool.
Danny Amendola now is active. Danny Amendola is active.
Danny Amendola, yeah. That guy says if Blunt doesn't perform, Lou is lighting his ass up. Lol. Yeah, I mean, Blunt, the odd time Blunt might do something on the ground and rack up yards, but to me, he is so touchdown dependent. If the Lions get within, the 10-yard line, they're probably going to run the ball a lot with Blunt, and there's a chance he scores. Right. But again, I don't think moving the football that much.
Well,
I just don't trust in the playoffs. I don't chase touchdowns.
And that's always easy to say unless you've lost. If you lost Connor and Odell Beckham this week, sometimes that's the only option you have. If it's
a guy like Alshon Jeffrey should be starting in your lineup, most likely, regardless.
Probably
of Odell Beckham being out. So if you have him as the option to replace Odell Beckham, you probably go with Alshon Jeffrey. Again, I do like Josh Adams overall. Like I've been talking him up quite a bit, as you know. But the Cowboys are a pretty good rush defense. They're a pretty good defense overall. But this guy has gotten 42 carries the last 2 weeks. I expect him to get another 20 or so this week. So I'd go. I might actually lean towards Adams simply because he's going to get the workload.
No, that's true. That's right. And I do know today we have an 8:00 show, Midwest Mindset, which I listened to a little bit last week.
We also have a 7 p.m. show, Lenny's baseball show. Lenny's doing a special
today
baseball show leading up to the Midwest Mindset show. Just announced in the chat room today. Breaking news here on the Legend Sports Network. 7 p.m. Sunday.
Ticker tape. Me and Lenny are probably the only two old enough to know what a ticker tape thing even sounded like. So we have two shows in between all the football today. A 7:00 show and 8:00 show. So that'll be kind of fun. And then obviously Lenny will be back on at 9:00 tomorrow morning. The round table, I have to always mention Ease around the table on Tuesday nights has been a blast.
I'll be there again, Easy. I'll be there again. The fiance is traveling. She will not be here to tell me I'm doing.
You have to go eat.
That I have to go do stuff. Although I might be eating Chinese food again.
That's fine. That's the whole point.
I will be here.
That's the whole point. It's a fun time to get together and talk. And we had, like I said, there's a lot of fun stuff. Lenny being on was hysterical. We had a good time. So Lenny wants me to do like a second version at a different time of the week so that he can be on every week.
Yeah, I think that would be fun and easy. I'm surprised we didn't have any questions from you today about Jeff Wilson Jr. for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm very shocked that we didn't have any discussions on him today.
Because that's true because Breed is definitely out.
Yeah, he's out, and Wilson looks fairly effective last week, I believe, from a PPR.
Well, let me ask you then: would you start him over a Samuel or
absolutely
or a Pettis?
I would, yeah.
What about Spencer Ware? You start him over Spencer Ware?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I like it. I don't. Okay, last week he had 8 receptions. They're using him in the passing game too.
Right.
That adds a hell of a lot of value to this guy. I mean, he put up 20 points last week without a touchdown. So that tells you enough right there that he's getting enough chances to rush with the football. He made 8 catches, 9 targets, 8 catches. I mean, if this guy even makes 5 catches for 30 yards, and then, gets his 15 to 20 carries, he's going to deliver a solid basement,
if anything, this season has proved, which I did this year. I went wide receiver early, and then I just took, like 8 running backs, because you never know what's going to be out there. I mean, it's just, man, the running back stuff is just tough.
Well, that's how I ended up with a ton of guys like James White and, those type of guys. James Whites, the Peyton Barbers, though Peyton Barber's been decent lately. I haven't used him once this year.
Me neither.
Theo Riddicks, you end up with those type of running backs. You have the 2 mainstays, and then obviously I was lucky enough to get Phillip Lindsay in after week 1 on the waiver wire, so he became a guy for me. But if you don't draft high running backs early, those are the types of guys you got to go after. And
you got to take a bunch of them because you don't give up on them on week 3. Don't drop them. Don't drop them to pick up your second defense. I had
Barber on 4 playoff teams all year long on my bench.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, but we got through. Like I said, I need to end a tad earlier than normal just because I got to look at a few lineups. It's a big day for Easy, and all that. So we're gonna, we're gonna yell out Harper right now. It's
I have my own
Harper to the Yankees.
Yeah, I have my own feast here today too. I got some quiches. I got some nachos I'm gonna make. I got some leftover pizza from yesterday. I mean, I am locked and loaded here. All types of food.
Hopefully Mrs. Easy put it in the oven when the show started. I've got about a 8-pound thing, homemade lasagnas today. So
you got like a baby in the oven, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge.
I think when I popped out, I was about 6.5 pounds.
All right.
The lasagna weighs more than I did when I was an infant.
Yeah, this lasagna is huge. So that's what we're having today. Lasagna, salad, garlic bread, and some Heineken. And hopefully that way I'm, pretty toasted by the time the Bengals come on, and maybe it won't matter by then.
You won't be upset when they lose,
luckily fantasy is definitely important today more than the Bengals.
I'm really only focused on my DFS lineups today.
Now, good luck.
My season-long stuff today.
Win a lot of money so you can buy another jersey. That's like 2 weeks in a row on that jersey.
Well, okay, firstly, this beard started before the Cowboys went on their winning streak.
I know.
They win. This Dak jersey, I hadn't worn it in a while, but after they beat the Saints last week, I went back to it to support my boys. And
I need Dak and Elliott to go off.
This is a division-deciding game.
I need 35 out of Dak Prescott today, and I need like 45 out of Zeke. So I'm hoping they dump off.
I'm not sure they can do that, but
don't lie to me.
The Eagles and the Cowboys game this weekend likely will decide this division. If the Cowboys win it, they will have the tiebreaker. They'll be up by 2 games with just 3 games to go.
Hard to believe after the beginning of the season.
With the Bucs and the Giants still on their schedule. However, if the Eagles win, although I think the Cowboys would still have the tiebreaker, they'd be tied with 3 games left to go. And let's say Washington pulls off the miracle and beats the Giants, we have a 3-way tie in the NFC East. So this game, Eagles-Cowboys this weekend, probably will decide the NFC East. Let me say,
I hate this division. I hate this division. I hate them. I hate the prime time division. Hell, they're on every prime time. It's one of them damn teams. I hate them. But that's okay.
They aren't this week, I don't think. I mean, I think Fox might be the Cowboys and the Eagles. It's not a Thursday, Sunday.
No. Okay, but they're always one of them is always the game of the week. The game of the week is always one of those.
But Lenny, Austin Hooper over Jordan Reed, Don't trust Mark Sanchez for the Redskins. More importantly, Hooper's had a great season. Good matchup versus the Green Bay Packers. So Austin Hooper over Jordan Reed. Austin.
All right. Harper to the Yankees. That's all I want to say. I got stuff to do. Lou, thanks for coming on today. Had a great time. I think we helped everyone. Andrea, I don't know. She must sit her line up and went and shopping for a refrigerator. That's all I ever hear. So that's good. I'm glad she's feeling well. Everybody in the chat room, thanks for coming out. The Legend Sports Network, Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com. Come out, enjoy the chat room, participate. A couple shows, 7 and 8 tonight. And Lenny again at his regular show on Monday mornings at 9:00. Everybody, good luck. Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy your playoffs. And Lou, Harper,
sayonara.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.